Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe 21 Love, here with another edition of Sports OV Topics on the heels. Now of Super Bowl 58, which was a fun game on Sunday. We'll go over what triumphs and tribulations all throughout that game, which was fun. UFC pay-per-view again on Saturday, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski defending his long reign again of UFC featherweight title, 145 pounds, against Ilia Topuria. We'll see how that goes. And much more. We got NFL honors, the NBA trade deadline, which was just late last week. We'll go over all, but busy day, guys. Thank you all for joining me. Again, before I get into everything, thank you all for that have subscribed and much more. The subscription, of course, is somewhere on this side. You can click it if you're new. If you just want to subscribe, help out the channel. You guys know the drill, but thank you guys all. Love you, and it's time to get started. So, Super Bowl 58. Chiefs versus 49ers. Chiefs win in overtime 25-22. And only the second overtime game in Super Bowl history, the first under these new regimes, or since that new rule came out after Josh Allen went to blows versus Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago in the playoffs, and 13 seconds, Bills had the lead, but Chiefs went down to tie up and then took it on the first drive with a touchdown, ended. So we didn't really see it in effect, but you could tell the strategy. It was definitely different, at least according to Chiefs players. Nonetheless, as far as the game, first I'll talk about the game, and then I'll talk about, happenings way after. So, it was, as you figure, bit of a sluggish start. Thing is about the Super Bowl, it's 2 weeks after conference championship title games. So, automatically, you can tell both teams are not going to be on rocket starts. There's going to be jitters, especially there's plenty of unproven as far as 49ers offense was when it came to Super Bowl. Because yes, there is a number of guys on that team that were on the team that went to Super Bowl against Chiefs in 2020 in Super Bowl 54. But when we get here, it's not Jimmy Garoppolo, it's Brock Purdy. It's not the committee of running backs the 49ers had then. It's Christian McCaffrey. Upgrades, however, first half went to Frisco. Now, both teams had their blows. Both teams had their mistakes. It's like on the first drive, of the game. It was going swimmingly well for the Niners. They were running the ball. They had a couple of short passes down the field, but were Moonball churning it, and they were outside field goal range for Moody. And McCaffrey fumbles the ball. Chiefs take over. But thankfully for the Niners, it didn't result in any points. So for a while, no one had points. I think they said it was the first quarter in the Super Bowl where no one had points since the Patriots Rams game 5 years ago. So that's certainly a weird treat. Then we cut to the second quarter. San Francisco moves down the ball again and looks like they're having another good drive, but it stalls in the red zone, or I should say it stalls, in Chiefs territory, which prompted Moody to kick which was then considered the longest kick in Super Bowl history, 55 yards, and drilled the field goal. Kick-started the scoring. Then we get to the Chiefs. So I mentioned mistakes, and both sides. So excuse me. So Chiefs, Mahomes rolls out, goes to the left, and 49ers defense and pressure had a hell of a job this game. So Mahomes rolls out, he just throws it downfield to 10, and it's caught by Mecole Hardman. Now, give or take, it really could have been a pick, but I believe Gibson was the one that undershot it and kind of gave up a bit on the play, who was underneath, while Brown was over the top, and ultimately missed it, and it was caught by Hardman. So, big play, in very good position. You think the Chiefs are going to score, at least tie, but presumably take the lead. So, then a couple plays later, Isaiah Pacheco fumbles. So then, just like that momentum just squandered just like that after that big 50-50 kind of play, but happened that way. So then 49ers go down the field again, and then trickery galore, which was a good double pass. First from Purdy to Juwan Jennings and back to McCaffrey. Ultimately, McCaffrey was able to run through, get a touchdown, then up 10-0. So, 49ers are feeling good. But Chiefs defense, that was ultimately the key in this game. 49ers defense did enough, or did their job for the most part. But the offense, felt cold for Sage, between the end of the second and then towards the fourth when things kind of picked up. So, Chiefs offense was trying to find a bit of answer. But they managed ultimately at the end of the first half, kick a field goal to take it in the halftime, only down 10-3. I mean, logistically, 49ers should have been up more. But their offense, just felt cold for a while. Their defense, Chiefs defense, really was the key winner, I think, in this game. So, get out of halftime after Usher, not a bad halftime show. He was sweating and kind of felt bad for Alicia Keys in that aspect. But nonetheless, it created a meme, the hug, with no gist anyway. So, excuse me. So, quickly in the third quarter, Mahomes throws a pick. Looked like Kelsey and another receiver were in the area, and I'm not sure. Maybe Mahomes is going for Kelsey. Not too sure. But nonetheless, his pick. And this was a kicker because 49ers could not do anything. Didn't do they just didn't get a points off of that. And when you're gifted an opportunity like that in the Super Bowl against Chiefs, no matter how you feel about them, you have to capitalize on those mistakes. And they'll do it. So, Chiefs off that mistake, they managed to get downfield. And they kicked a field goal to make it 10-6. For a large part, this game felt like the Bills game with Chiefs in the playoffs. Bills were doing well on defense. They were doing well on defense, and then all of a sudden, all it takes is that blow open touchdown to Kelsey, and momentum shifts. Whereas in this game, 49ers were feeling solid. They were feeling, like I said, the offense was a bit cold. So after they forced another 3 and out, the ball gets punted away by Townsend, who had a very good night punting the ball as well. Special teams for the Chiefs came alive really good as well on Sunday with Townsend and Butker, who had 4 field goals and 2 extra points. Very good for him, or 1 extra point. So, Townsend punts it away and didn't see it at first, but it bounced off a 49er in his back, allowing for Ray McLeod for the Niners to try to pick it up because he knows it's a live ball. Tries to pick it up and ultimately cannot. Chiefs recover, and it allows them to next play after Mahomes to Valdez-Scantling for a touchdown. And just like that, they have the lead. Yeah, 2 costly fumbles, turnovers. Even though it was early, the fumble by McCaffrey, which led to no points. And then this, which right after Chiefs touchdown, Chiefs take the lead. So then we get into the fourth. And yeah, it feels like 49ers need a drive. They need a drive, really. So, they go down, and 4th and 1, of course, you can kick a field goal to tie it, but 4th and 1, go for it, and then Kill gets it, and who had a quiet night, which I'd say was odd, but with how the Chiefs defense has been playing, can't say I'm too surprised, but it's always a weird thing because when you see an offense with the number of weapons, you're always surprised how someone can't be involved as much as they should. So, leave that. So, Kill gets it, and then just like that, 49ers to Jauan Jennings, who had great effort, got in for a touchdown, and just like that, they had the lead. And then a blocked field goal or blocked extra point on Moody's extra point leaves it at a 3-point game. So automatically you're like, okay, well, all they need is a field goal to tie instead of a touchdown. Big difference. So Chiefs ultimately go down and they get a field goal, another one out of Butker, which then prompted to Jake Moody to hit another. He was very good. Definitely the best player for the 49ers, I would say, in the Super Bowl. Jake Moody got a field goal to take the lead, and then Chiefs will ultimately tie at the end. So then, Sage is set. First overtime game, now with the new rules, or new rule, how no matter what, basically, each team gets a score. I mean, that's kind of how it was earlier, but so you were curious by the strategy. So 49ers won the toss and they took the ball. Kyle Juszczyk, he mentioned how not knowing, if you've seen the videos, Kyle Juszczyk and others didn't know as well the overtime rules, the new rule, as opposed to Chiefs. Because, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to get the ball second than to, to know what you have to get for next time or for your first drive. Whereas Falcons, Patriots, the drill is for the Patriots when they were, on all cylinders going into overtime. Score a touchdown, you win. Even if you score a touchdown, Chiefs get the ball. So it was certainly some unique questioning of the strategy, but nonetheless, 49ers got the ball first. And it looked like they were going to be stopped, but a so-so holding call on McDuffie prolonged the drive and leave it at that. So 49ers get the drive going. Third and long. Brock Purdy breaks out and throws it at the last moment to Juszczyk, which I know Dez Bryant was watching. And Gene Steratore talked about it. 2 feet and a football move. So, 2 feet. And I guess, you can only assume the football move was them or Juszczyk stretching out the ball to get the first down, which he got. And then 49ers get down there, and the play is certainly going to haunt 49ers fans. 3rd and 4. Now, yes, there was a blitz early in the game, which really kicked it in the gear when it was tied at 16 and 49ers, 2 minutes left in the game. If they get first down, they are likely to take it down to a game-winning field goal at the end of regulation. But the slot blitz, coming in, forced Purdy's hand and ultimately incomplete, which left too much time for the Chiefs to drive down the field and kick a game-tying field goal. Anyway, so 3rd and 4. So pressure again. Play action. It looked. So he threw it to Jennings because he was under pressure. That was the other thing. But what they did not mention was Ayuk was wide open at the top of the route in the end zone. And if Purdy hits that, they're likely at least to get another possession. It's weird to say at least get another possession or they win the game. But nonetheless, pressure gone. So 4th and 4, they go for the field goal, and you're like, well, okay. 49ers defense, and he makes a stop, and obviously that was not easy. 4th and 1. Here's the thing. 2 plays by Patrick Mahomes, you do have to admit, two plays where I think were very pivotal in that game, which set up for the finish as far as Mahomes' side and the Chiefs' offense. When their run game was relatively in check by the Niners, there was a big run by Mahomes in regulation, and then on 4th and 1, Romo talked about it best. If Bosa kept staying inside or outside, discipline, he would have been the reason why they won. But if you looked at the 4th and 1, now yes, whatever we want to say, we can complain about it all day, but 4th and 1, Bosa takes the bait. He collapses on the running back, leaves Mahomes open to run for a first down. So there you go. That's one. Chiefs get the downfield again. And after a Kelce catch, almost a screen, it looked like for a sec I thought they were going to either they were going to call him short or they were going to call a timeout. It was just weird how slow it was at the end. But nonetheless, they get him the ball again. And then Chiefs run it. Zig and out. Corn dog. Nico Harman open in the end zone. They connect. And Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Second time where Bosa got... If Bosa was disciplined on both those plays, or I should say on the 4th and 1, and got Mahomes, talk about a different story. But, there were times when Chiefs or 49ers defense were undisciplined. They played very good. Mahomes did not play a great game. They did very well. But like I said, their offense did not do enough. It's like 9 points in the second half. They should have scored more in the first. Definitely. Because when Bray and the Bucks beat Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it was that big touchdown at the end of the first half to Antonio Brown, which really set things up to make a 15-point lead, as opposed to keeping it maybe a 9-point lead and giving Chiefs some life. Or actually would have been, it was an 8-point game. It would have been 11 if they went for a field goal, but either way, get the point. 49ers didn't do enough on offense. And I've talked about this as well. How this is kind of a boomer bust type of thing for Niners. Simply put, with their cap situation and who they're ultimately going to pay. Or how much they're paying certain people. Kittle, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Bosa, etc. It did feel like for a good portion of the game that they wanted Brock Purdy to be the hero and they wanted to justify, because he did do well in the game. He did do well, but as I mentioned, there was that cold phase in the middle of the game after it was 10-0. And it just almost like they were trying to figure out if they would, how much they would actually pay him. It did feel like for a while, but credit to the Chiefs secondary, Ayuk, it's not really much of a factor. Debo, he was in and out with a hammy. So, like I said, it had a quiet night. I mean, it's just odd. It was an odd performance from both sides, both teams, really. But Chiefs pulled it out in the end. Offense made it work, and they got it done. Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. Kelsey, it was certainly weird, but ultimately in overtime he finished with 9 catches for 93 yards. Here's the kicker. So, because people are going to be talking about it, Taylor Swift was only shown for 54 seconds. So people say, or that was thing going down the line. And there's conspiracy theorists out there. They're obviously going to go crazy. Thing is, what's ultimately going to drive people crazy the most is that A, Taylor Swift had a conversation with Roger Goodell in the game, and B, who would they show immediately after the touchdown? Not showing the players. They showed Taylor Swift. Now, there have been a number of times when, after Brady and the Patriots won, they would show Giselle. Nonetheless, you can tell people are going to be heated about this. Look, Chiefs won. There's that. There were mistakes on both teams. I mean, we could argue about penalties for days. What was called, what was not called. Chiefs ultimately won. So there's that. Now, the thing that's also a thing that's been not great see after is that, yes, they're a dynasty now, and after they won, they're trying to will this into a dynasty. And there were a couple years where it's like, wait a second, they haven't even won 2. And then they won 2 last year, and it's like, okay, you can start thinking about dynasty. And then they win this year, and then it's like, fine, it's a dynasty, good. The kicker is, it feels like people are annoyed by Tom Brady. That's what it ultimately feels like these days. Like, people don't want. They want to just move Brady out of the way. It's like Brady won 7 championships and played very well for 20 years. 20 some odd years. or over 20 seasons. Yeah. His first season was in 2000, and then last was 22. So, yeah. But get gist right there. So, it's like all this talk about Mahomes, and it's like all time. He's in the all-time list, okay? That's the thing. But when the media gets narratives, they just ride with them. They just keep doing it. And that's ultimately the kicker. They just want this thing to happen. They're quick to jump the gun. They're quick. It's just how it rolls. And yeah, it is what it is. But look, nonetheless, it was a fun game on Sunday. But people are going to be very disappointed about who won. That's, yeah. You can't sway the media about that. It's, yeah. So, Chiefs win. So now let's talk about NFL honors, which, in my opinion, it's always a joy to see. Always a joy to see. Which was Thursday night. And, yeah. So, give my thoughts really quick. So, C.J. Stroud, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, I think we can all agree that it was down to 3, even though they announced the 5 finalists. It was either going to be Stroud, Puka Nacua, or Sam Laporta. To me, it should have been, or just my opinion, I think Nacua could have absolutely won it. But nonetheless, QB, they made it to playoffs. Stroud certainly had a turnaround, or turned them around, along with D'Amico Ryans and Will Anderson. They got it done. And, came into the playoffs, winning it, get in for the Colts. And then they beat the Browns, wildcard round. They gave a fight, bit of a fight to the Ravens, but it wasn't enough. But nonetheless, good for C.J. Stroud. Had a heck of a season. The AFC and their AFC South is going to be fun with their youth and young quarterbacks at the helm going forward. Because, you got Stroud, you got Trevor Lawrence, you got Anthony Richardson, who's got to return, Will Levis. Those two got some work to be in another conversation, but you can tell with the youth and some of the glimpses we saw, particularly those 3 rookies, tell it's going to be fun to see going forward. Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, this was the award that got the most backlash. Because T.J. Watt, better sacks, or more sacks, more stats. I mean, to me, the defense player of the year this year, honestly, it did not. It felt close. It was weird. It just felt like you could have given it to anybody. I mean, Crosby, but you get the point. But I get it, with the stats and everything. That yes, TJ Watt could very well won again, but they opted to give it to Myles Garrett. I mean, really, with what happened with that team, I'm not surprised. Yes, there was a good period during the season where he did not get a sack, but his presence was felt. It's just how things go. Will Anderson Jr. was my pick to win Defense Rookie Year. And he got it. He got it. Personally, I thought with how he looked as opposed to if Devin Witherspoon was more healthy, I think he would have a good shot at winning it. But nonetheless, good for Will Anderson Jr. Got it done. And Jalen Carter did have a solid rookie season, but I just didn't think it was enough to opt for Defensive Rookie Year. Kevin Stefanski. My pick was Dan Campbell, just because it feels like when there's a new upstart team, perhaps that's really good, it feels like they opt to go with the coach for Coach of the Year. Sometimes. Or mostly has been recently. And now definitely if Campbell and the Lions made it last year, it is definitely possible that he will have won it. I thought this year Campbell won it, but they gave it to Stefanski. Now, you can't be surprised because 4 starting quarterbacks for the Browns this season. And Joe Flacco, in the way that culminated with a 12-win season going to the playoffs where you thought it was totally possible. Well, they beat whoever wins the AFC South, and then they go to Baltimore, and then all money's on the table. Joe Flacco going back to Baltimore. That was not the case, as they got lost in Houston. But there you go. Christian McCaffrey, Offensive Player of the Year, was my pick. Honestly, they go with the person who's not going to win MVP. It's basically like their consolation prize for the guy who's not going to win MVP these days. And McCaffrey, he had a great season. Yeah, just not with a ring. So the modern era finalists. Let's or let's go with who made the Hall of Fame. With Zoe Street, well, first Lamar Jackson won MVP. No surprise, considering how they muster up San Francisco. If San Francisco had won that game, Brock Purdy would have probably gotten it, but didn't. Yeah, Lamar Jackson was it as good as 2019? No, but it was certainly prominent, and they got it done. Obviously, the award you can't really pick. It's just who knows. But Cameron Hayward winning Walter Payton Man of the Year award, very good to see, especially for Cameron Hayward. I mean, just job he's done being a Titan, being a soldier for 10 plus years. It's always good to see, and good to see just guys like those recognized, and it's good. Joe Flacco won Comeback Player of the Year. I almost missed it. So they opted not to go with Damar Hamlin. I understand both sides. Here's the thing. Mostly Comeback Player of the Year, the way it's been, has been a player off a big injury that derails the season. When they come back the next season, do very well. And all due respect to Flacco, it was a similar thing in, well, Ryan Tannehill, when he won in 2019, when you think about it, he was backup starting that season, but did very well and helping catapult the Titans to the AFC title game that season. This year, when you look at the finalists, okay, Damar Hamlin, we know drill. He had that cardiac arrest last year, came back to play a number of games. Didn't have a great impact, but nonetheless, him being back to play was certainly great to see. It was certainly joy after what happened. Joe Flacco. He was on the bench or was at home for a large chunk of the season. But he comes to sign with the Browns, and ultimately his play helps lead him to the playoffs after a amount of injuries. Baker Mayfield. He had a rejuvenation, we could say, as in a solid season. 9-8, they won. They made the playoffs and won the division with a solid core of team. And Baker showed that he still has what it takes to be a starter in this league. But he did not suffer like a big injury last season. That's the thing. Whereas Matt Stafford and Tua, Stafford had that big elbow injury last year, which really prompted him not to play the rest of the season. And then last year, Tua had those concussion issues, which thankfully he was healthy this season and played well. But get gist, so I can understand people being inclined more for Tua or Stafford winning because of those reasons. And Damar Hamlin, it's tough. He did have an impact on the field, certainly. They have a very good season, no, but the fact that he returned from what happened is a great story. And look, two sides to every coin. I will say happy for Flacco in the sense of that was a good story as well, what happened this season. So we get to Hall of Fame. Dwight Free, Phil, Andre Johnson, gets in over Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. Devin Hester, you knew it was coming. He made it. Julius Peppers, Patrick Willis, very good for him. Was also good here was Gradisher and Steve Mongo McMichael. You know, Mongo, here's the thing, it really does suck what happened to him. You know, hope he gets better and keeps fighting with his battle without ALS. But at least glad that he is in the hall or will hopefully be inducted before he passes, but nonetheless, Mongo, keep fighting. Because again, we never know, but at least he's finally inducted. That's the thing. Yeah, it's... So those were NFL honors. Now let's get into day made trade deadline after a couple things. So Wink Martindale replaces Jesse Minter at Michigan for defense coordinator. So a solid staff still remains for Michigan despite losing both Harbaugh and Minter, but still, hell of a job. Bill O'Brien left Ohio State for Boston College after a few weeks to be the head coach. So there's that. Chip Kelly, now into the position, is now Ohio State's new offense coordinator. So there's that. University of Washington loses another, as Ryan Grubb, their offense coordinator, is now going to the Seahawks to be their offense coordinator. So, tell you there. There was some unique movement at the trade deadline, but ultimately, the two most heavily at the trade deadline were definitely the Pistons and the Mavericks. But as far as the two biggest names we can say that got traded, I would say ultimately were Bogdanovich, Gordon Hayward, and Dennis Schroeder. Also, you got Patrick Beverly, but yeah. Knicks acquired Bogdanovich. Think very good signing for them. You know, when Julius Randle is healthy, Jalen Brunson, Anunoby. It's been a solid core. And right there in the thick of things. Mike Zimmer, defense coordinator of the Cowboys, replacing Dan Quinn. Familiarity there. So, got that in mind. Patrick Beverly is now with the Bucks. Corey Kluber retired from the Indians, or Cleveland, who's there in Cleveland, but nonetheless get to just was a big part in their run to facing the Cubs in the World Series, which was a fun World Series years ago, but yeah. Son Reddick requested a trade from the Eagles. Unique telling because he's had, 27 sacks the last 2 seasons? I mean, he's done really well, but a little odd see him request trade, but nonetheless, we talked about a bunch this episode. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys all. Be safe. Subscription again over here. Click if you guys are new. Thank you guys all for love and support. Click that like button over here somewhere. Leave thumbs up. Helps out the video. Helps out the channel. Helps you guys. But thank you guys all. Be safe. See you guys next time. Adios and peace.